Stan Arthur here for the I Love St. Pete Facebook group. If you're a business owner looking to connect with tens of thousands of potential new local customers, you owe it to yourself to get enrolled in our Key Tag Rewards program. Since 2019, we've signed up more than 200 local merchants. Sponsor opportunities are available too, such as our group banner ad and even your own custom key tags. Just go to stpetekeytag.com, get enrolled, and get ready to get busy. stpetekeytag.com.
Notoriety Sports Network. Breaking news, live shows, unprecedented content. Notoriety Sports Network. Built different.
He's freezing it against the end wall. It's not yet frozen. 13 seconds left. Coleman looking to grab it. Dano trying to center it. Knocking it away. Yanni Gord. He clears it. He clears it. I don't think this is going to be an icing. No. 3 seconds left. Petrie, final shot. The Lightning have done it. They have done it. They have gone back to back for the second year in a row.
Wow.
They have won the Stanley Cup.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
What's going on? Welcome back to another edition, a championship edition. You see it. I don't have to tell you. It's the Sports Web Lightning Edition, back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. How does that sound, Tampa Bay sports fan? Do you like that? Do you like the sound of it? Were you biting your nails off last night? Because that was a nail biter. Well, we always go back to it with the Tampa Bay sports team. And I'll get into it in a moment. How do we start off the sports web? Once again, I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. On tonight's show, we'll have my Lightning insider from Rocket Sports and Entertainment, Mr. Travis Faley, on, breaking down the game last night, breaking down the postseason. Possibly the future of this team, but the future is now. Tampa Bay lives up to the name. 3 championships in the last 11 months. And not national media. They can't take it away from you, Tampa Bay sports fan. Nobody can take this away from you. Nobody can take the moment away from you of what happened last night. And wasn't it sweet to see the best goaltender in the world do what he did? To see 2 players contribute that weren't on this team last year? Julien Brisebois deserves all the credit in the world. Jeff Finnick deserves all the credit in the world. John Cooper deserves all the credit in the world for putting this team together and having all these personalities. Having a Savard at the trading deadline. Getting a Ross Colton as a rookie to contribute. And you got your Kucherovs throughout the postseason. You got your Stamkoses. You got your Braden Points. You got your Yanni Gourds. That's the reason why this team is champions. Make no mistake about it. No matter what the national media says, because we go through it all the time with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and even the Tampa Bay Rays. I'll give them some love tonight. I will. Salary cap, who cares? The NHL told you that they did it by the book. They just did it better than everybody else. The Tampa Bay Lightning are Stanley Cup champions for the 2nd year in a row. How do you feel about it? 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Want to go out to these comments here. Dan Hood says, fire. I like it. You got Roger Shue saying, kick some ass tonight. We will. We always kick ass here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, on the Notoriety Sports Network, on I Love St. Pete. And in case you haven't noticed, yes, I have not slept. And that's okay. The boat parade will be on a Monday morning at 11 a.m. I'm not going to it, but it's going to be fun to watch it. Whoever goes to it, have a good time. Again, Travis Faley, 9 o'clock, 9:30. Mr. TJ Reeves of the Buccaneer Radio Network, the Power Man himself.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Mr. Jason Powers, Powers on Sports Podcast, the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty, and whoever wants to get in on this fun tonight. You guys should be elated. I get it. You're tired because you probably didn't sleep like I did. You were probably up all night long partying. I got to get my partying in this weekend for this team. But it's just a beautiful thing right now to be a Tampa Bay sports fan. Because I've been here all my life, like a lot of you guys have. And even if you haven't been here all your life, you have to just enjoy it. It's a beautiful thing. All right, Dynasty. We'll see. We'll see if they can do it 3 times. But I tell you right now, you kind of felt good about it, right? When Colton scores 15-2, when they scored the first goal in the postseason this year. Oh, by the way, they tied the Edmonton Oilers in 1990. Yeah, that Oilers team, which consequently, by the way, beat Boston 4-1. Bill Ranford was the MVP. Of course, Vasilevsky was going to be the MVP. 5th shutout. And a clincher? Amazing. Oh, by the way, you want to play around with 6 degrees of separation? Where did the Lightning win their Stanley Cup last year? Edmonton. Christopher Cole. Hey, some people are forgetting about the first Stanley Cup we won in 2003, 2004. That's my favorite one, actually. That's my question. Do you enjoy that one? Do you enjoy all of them? Do you think this one is more special? Because I kind of do. Maybe it's for the moment at this point, right? There's no way they could do it again. I mean, the bubble contributed to it. All these excuses. But here's a team all year long that went through the adverse situations. with losing a superstar in Nikita Kucherov, with losing Stamkos for a little while. Stamkos didn't barely play last year, and they still managed to find a way to win games. It's a beautiful thing. Christopher Cole, we're still Tampa Bay, and David Searles. What's up, Peter? What's going on? So without further ado, I'm going to stop flapping my gums. I'm going to let you guys get on the phone lines if you want to. I'm going to let you get on the video tonight. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web live on the Notoriety Sports Network, and I love St. Pete. Let's go out to him, my Lightning insider. For the last couple months, he's been doing double duty here. Mr. Travis Faley of Rocket Sports and Entertainment. Your thoughts, man. This has just been an unbelievable postseason, and it culminated last night with the Tampa Bay Lightning winning back-to-back Stanley Cups. Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hockey fans of all ages, back-to-back world champions, your and mine, Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yes.
I have to tell you, Pete, that was a fantastic time at the game last night. The crowd was absolutely electric, but I really wanted to start off with, breaking down the goal that Ross Colton scored in the second period there. That was total team effort led by the guy who's probably the most solid player on this team, other than maybe Yanni Gourde, throughout the whole playoff run, and that was Ryan McDonagh. Once again, as the play is happening down on the sideboards, Cirelli comes in and starts chipping away, and they battle on the sideboard for the puck between Stamkos and Cirelli. Battling, and Colton is sitting there watching to see what happens between the five guys that are battling, including three guys for the Canadians. The puck gets kicked up to the blue line where McDonagh is waiting, and instead of just cracking it down and getting it on net, he pauses and delays just a second, passes the puck over to Savard. Now, what is going on right now? You see Colton. He slides off to the left, off the group, and heads right to the net, bases himself right in front for a picture-perfect pass by Savard for the game-winning goal. What a year for the rookie, Ross Colton, and what a plan for these guys to bring this kid in. There were other options to bring other guys in to play. Even when Matthew Joseph and even when Killorn was healthy, they had Matthew Joseph available, and they stuck with Colton. And, hey, how does this all work out? Killorn, who wants to get back on the ice, he goes and gets a rod put into his broken leg, which we finally figured out what was wrong with him, wants to get back on the ice, can't get on because of medical. They move up Colton to the 2 line, and Colton scores the biggest goal in his life. Unbelievable work by the Tampa Bay Lightning. And it's the bread and butter, guys. It's work. This isn't the greatest show on ice anymore. This isn't the team that got beat badly by Columbus and swept. And this isn't the team that got beat in 7 games back on home ice against the Washington Capitals, where they retooled this team. They shifted personnel. They brought in a guy like Coleman and Goodrow. Did you see that block shot late in the game where Goodrow just gave his whole body out there? That's the same kind of shot that Killorn broke his leg by Shea Weber. The guy's arguably got the hardest slap shot in all of hockey. Just can't say enough about this team effort, and we haven't even started about the Cat and talked about him and Andrei Vasilevsky, what he did not only through this playoffs but even going back to last year. Five closing shutout games, Pete. It's just so rare and so beautiful for this club.
It really is. And I think, the Killorn play kind of signifies the different attitude of this team, right? They were always the greatest show on ice, skilled players. Not that they don't have that now. They have their fair share. We've talked about it over and over again. But to make that sacrifice, to put your body out there on the line, to block a puck that possibly could go in, because at the end of the day, you do have traffic in the net. So we know that Vasilevsky does have some problem with that. Not many shots he lets go, but you have a problem with that. But here's a player that makes that sacrifice. He's out. It's a big-time loss, and it doesn't matter because the Lightning just keep on rolling players in there. You talk about a Ross Colton. You talk about a Yanni Gourde and a Savard, a big-time acquisition. Talk about this general manager. I hope I pronounce his name right. Julien Bressois. Think I got his name right? Breezewa?
Julian Breezewa. It's fine. You're almost there, Pete. I think you have to go back to high school and take some French every once in a while. But hey, let's talk about what we did. I mean, you look at what even Matthew Joseph played a fantastic series. You got a fourth liner in Tyler Johnson who was waived twice at the beginning of the season and wasn't even on ice for the raising of the banner. That first game of the season, and then I don't even know if he was on when they did it for the fans on the second time they raised the banner. I do believe Johnson was on the club at the time. I should know this as the Lightning insider, but you just got to feel great for Tyler Johnson, and you got to feel great for the two guys that were crying the most on the ice, and that was Steven Stamkos and Ryan McDonagh. I can't say enough about the job that McDonagh did. I know it sounds like I'm dating the guy or he's paying me off to say just these kind words about him, but the proof is in the pudding. Watch the tape.
Hey, you could do far worse, because I tell you right now, he's a superstar that doesn't necessarily get talked about enough, and he makes this blue line so devastating. People, again, talk about Hedman and Savard, but McDonagh is unbelievable. Sergachev has been unbelievable. Chernak has been unbelievable. You've seen these guys develop, and I think that is the key here. But McDonagh, being a veteran presence and coming with that trade from the New York Rangers, has made all the difference in the world. So you can't talk enough about this guy. And I tell you,
will he be on the team next year? Will Seattle be able to grab him in the expansion draft? That's something that we're going to look into and we're going to be talking about, I'm sure. But there's other players on this club. I mean, they got to get under $10 million under the cap next year, and it's going to be tough. This team is going to look considerably different, but let's just enjoy the celebration and what this team has done in the last 10 months of basically, winning 2 Stanley Cups and back-to-back, one obviously in the bubble without their families and friends, and now they got to do it last night in front of we're right around 17,000, screaming Tampa Bay Lightning fans with a few Montreal fans mixed in. And, I got to give it up to the Montreal fans. They were very nice. They stayed for a lot of the trophy ceremony, and they were kind and considerate, and they're the same way as the Calgary fans when we won in 2004, Pete. I was in the stands for that game also. Right. And couldn't say enough about the people from Calgary and how we were treated. And, I give it up. I give big props to Montreal. And I think, maybe some of the steam was let out after they beat the Knights. They were a heavy underdog against the Knights. They were the 18th team in the playoffs, Pete. Grand scheme of things.
Let's go out. I'll tell you what, save that thought. Let's go out to the phone lines. Your favorite caller, Rob, the sports god. Rob, what's going on? Welcome to the evolution of sports talk television. You're on with yours truly, along with Mr. Travis Faley of Rocket Sports and Entertainment. What do you have to say about the Tampa Bay Lightning? By the way, I just want to point this out. This guy right here picked against the Lightning. So come on, let's hear it. Let me hear that apology. I'm sorry, Pete. I'm sorry,
I'm
Travis.
sorry, Pete and Travis. Congratulations
to
the Lightning. How about some talk about the Tokyo Olympics?
Yeah,
that's no spectators there, buddy.
Well, there's nothing to talk about there. There's no spectators. But we got everybody right now watching the sports web. Your thoughts on the Tampa Bay Lightning at this point? You didn't think they could win it, but they won it in 5 games. So go ahead, give me some thoughts. Don't talk about the Tokyo Olympics. Come on, stop playing.
Next year, I got a prediction. Colorado Avalanche make the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, thanks a lot once again, Rob, for nothing at all. Thank you very much.
Hey, keep me enjoy the show each and every night.
All right, I appreciate the calls.
Take care,
as
brother.
always. The Tokyo Olympics. Get out of here, Tokyo Olympics. I got your Tokyo Olympics. I ain't talking about that at all. You couldn't say anything good about the Lightning, but I tell you right now, there's so many great things to talk about with this team, and it starts with Vasilevsky. 22 saves once again. What do you see from him last night? You told me off here you didn't think he made a lot of big saves, but once again, is that just Vasilevsky making it look easier than everybody else does?
Well, I can't even say that, Petey. I mean, he stops the pucks that he should stop, and it's the same thing with Carey Price. You saw a lot of lightning shots last night that just hit him right in the emblem. So, you have to, even my wife mentioned it, when you're shooting against Carey Price and when you're shooting against the best goalies in the world, you got to get them moving side to side. You got to get them out of their crease, and got to get them to make a mistake or just get pucks from all different angles and hope for the rebounds. And, you saw it last night early in the first period that Carey Price was giving up some rebounds. And, Vasilevsky was a little shaky behind the net. And you just, you can't have that. But once again, 22 shots from Montreal, that's just not going to get it done against Andrei Vasilevsky, the best goalie in the world. And, you saw it earlier in the series that the goals that were getting past Vasilevsky were taken after you now, were, ping pong deflections or, a double doink here and there. And, he wasn't getting beat badly in this series. Like, he let a couple in against the Islanders that were like, wow, I bet you he wants that back. But, most goalies do throughout the course of the playoffs and throughout the course of the season. And, the one guy who won the Vezina and, Mark Killorn, not Killorn, but Cooch, that guy from Vegas, Marc-Andre Fleury, he let some bad goals in, and that's why, they weren't in the finals instead of, the Knights weren't in the finals instead of Montreal because of a considerable, horrible goal in Game 2 against Montreal where he got off his line and puck got behind him and went in the net, and that was the turning point in the series. And we discussed that before, but let's talk about one more thing here, Pete, about the end of the game. I think Goodrow, Yanni Gourde, and Coleman were basically on the ice for the last 2 minutes of the game, just selling out, giving up their body like we talked about, blocking shots. And you can't say enough, once again, I keep using that phrase, can't say enough about this third line of the Tampa Bay Lightning. And unfortunately, that third line might be totally changed up, next season. You might see, if we're able to keep Yanni Gourde, you might see Gourde move up if Palat is gone, but you'll probably definitely see Goodrow and Coleman gone at the end of the year just due to salary cap. But, once again, we can talk about that and next week, next month. And, I did want to tell you that we'll be having Dave Michigan on the show next week. I talked to Dave earlier this evening, and got to let his voice rest up a little bit before he comes on after that unbelievable call for the Tampa Bay Lightning with him and Phil.
The guy is the best in the.
He is the best.
And I tell you right now, anybody who makes fun of him, you guys just don't understand the antithesis of sports broadcasting, because that guy gets everybody, every Lightning fan involved. And even if you're not a Lightning fan, when you listen to him, you want to pay attention. And you've got to, when you do radio broadcasting, you got to get people to pay attention. But as a play-by-play guy, you have to paint a picture, and he absolutely paints a Picasso every night when he calls the Lightning games. Unbelievable.
Well, what's great about Dave, and I mean, granted, he's a homer. He's an absolute homer, but, you got to love Phil always calling out the officials. And, it's just having Phil Esposito as the color guy where Dave runs the play-by-play is just a fantastic little bonus for this Lightning team. And, Dave has been the voice of the Lightning for many years. And, there's nobody better in our opinion, or in my opinion at least. Dave's a great guy, and I've had plenty of conversations with him throughout the past. And great guy as an announcer, even a better human being. So can't wait to have him on the show next week and talk about a little bit of Lightning hockey, about this season and what's coming up next season. But hey, I don't know if you guys know this, but Stamkos and Braden Point had 0 shots on goal last night.
That's amazing.
0 shots, guys.
That's amazing. And even the announcer said that he thought that Stamkos was laboring a little bit. Did you see that? Do you feel like, once again, we always talk about this with Stamkos. He is the captain, but it seemed like, once again, he's dealing with an injury. Did you see him be 100%? Did you see him laboring last night?
I don't think he was laboring, Pete. I think it was more, and he was a key part in the game-winning goal, battling on the sideboard, him and Cirelli going after digging and fighting for the puck where it dishes out to Ryan McDonough. And once again, Ryan McDonough gets it down to Savard. Savard to Colton. She scores! Ross Colton only one shot on goal, and it happened to be the game winner yesterday. So I don't think you liked that call. I know you did.
I love that. It's great.
I don't really think he was laboring, but he was playing great two-way hockey last night from not only from an offensive standpoint, but from a defensive standpoint. And I would have loved to see him get the opportunities more on the power plays that the Lightning had last night, because it seemed like it was a Kucherov-Hedman show and the power plays, and they weren't able to get the puck to him over on the left side. As far as Braden Point goes in this series, I think they really keyed on him because, he was having such a great playoff run. And every time Braden Point was on the ice, he had the big monster Shea Weber, going after him. So he was definitely a little bit aggravated. But, sometimes you have to look at the bottom, the lower tier lines and the 2 to 3 to 4 and to go away from the 1. And just with the 1 line, you make the other team tired. Because, when they brought that 5-6 D crew on, they weren't doing as well as the 1 through 4 as far as Montreal was concerned. So, you keep those top 4 on, they're going to get tired as the game goes on, especially when you're dealing with, a bunch of speedsters and guys that can really play, and Andre Palat, Kucherov, and Braden Point on that top line. But, without the 3rd and 4th line, we don't win the cup this year, guys. And you just look at what, Pat Maroon and Johnson and Matthew Joseph. Matthew Joseph was awesome last night. He was drawing penalties and just skating up and down the ice. And maybe he had fresh legs, even though he did play a few games during this series. You can tell that he wasn't getting a lot of ice time and throughout the season. He just looked fantastic, and the future is very bright for that young man. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do next season. They got some interesting players coming up next year too. With Cal Foote will probably come over and he'll take David Savard's place. He's been chomping at the bit to get up here, and you got another guy named Boris Kachuk that's going to probably be playing for this Tampa Bay Lightning next year. So that should be fun announcing that. Listening to you watch that guy's name throughout the season.
Yeah, I got to get better with my enunciations, if you will. Troy Polamalu.
Is that an enunciation, or is that supposed to be enunciation?
You know what I meant. I was
Troy
Polamalu, King Troy, Trojan Legend SC, Bucks plus Aaron Rodgers, Super Bowl 2022 champs. You're a troll.
He's the absolute worst with that Rodgers Bucks stuff. I tell you, it's like
he's all about the Rodgers and the Bucks thing. You didn't watch the match, did you? You didn't hear what Aaron Rodgers said. We'll talk about it later on. This one was awesome because it was back to back at home. Roger Shue says, "Go Blackhawks," and I say, "Go home, troll."
No, it's interesting that he brings up the Blackhawks though, with Jonathan Toews, one of the best players in all of hockey, coming back from his potential career-ending injury with his immune system issue. So I'm looking forward to seeing Jonathan Toews. And anytime you can have Jonathan Toews on the ice and representing the National Hockey League, that's a good day. So to see a player like that of his caliber come back would be fantastic next season. And it's going to be interesting to see if Pat Maroon not only stays with this club or possibly retires. He was giving away hockey sticks to young kids last night in the stands and signing them. What a pleasant guy he seems to be. Very happy on a regular basis. Would I want to battle him in a street fight? I don't think so. But hey, we'll see if he comes back. Maybe the big rig might retire. I mean, I know Tampa's got our own big rig over 98 Rock, so I don't know if he minds sharing that moniker with Pat Maroon, but I think he'll be okay with it.
I don't think he minds at all. And tell me, how big was that goal in Game 4? Because basically, what does that ties the game, and it's between Joseph and Maroon. There, you talk about the other lines, the 3rd and 4th line. Once again, Maroon is so important. 3-time Stanley Cup, the natural hat trick, if you will. How important is he to this team, and how big was that goal in Game 4, in your opinion?
It was good. I mean, granted, we would have liked to have a different result. And, whenever you have a 4-minute power play and you don't score on a 4-minute power play, you always have to think that, the other team's going to win the game. And that's sort of how I felt. I was sort of, we wanted them to win. But, man, just to bring the cup back and put it out in front of the fans and to watch Mr. Vinnick last night in the middle of the ice raising that cup, that was a very, very special moment, not only for the Lightning organization, but for me, because I've had the opportunity to talk to Mr. Vinnick a couple times, and when I was shooting the team, he's right over to the right in his box, and the head nod, the hi, the wave, the thank you. He's very receptive for a man of his status to go out of his way to say hello to not only myself but to other fans out there, and to see him hoist the cup in front of those fans was special, Pete. It's I don't know if this year will ever eclipse 2004 for me, just because that was just such a special moment in my life and in my wife's life, as when we had season tickets and watching that team develop. But last night was pretty damn close, I have to tell you. If it doesn't eclipse it, it's pretty damn close, man. Pretty damn close. And John Cooper, can really see John Cooper really enjoyed himself on the ice last night too. So those are really big takeaways for me. Was obviously Stamkos and McDonough crying, and just some great pictures when you got the Russian three out there, with Vasilevsky, Sergachev, and Kucherov taking pictures, and you see those guys a lot together, and you see John Cooper really appreciate what the Russian trio does for this hockey team. And talking about Kucherov last night.
Got it. Wait now. That's a perfect segue. I'm going to put you in the lobby really quick.
I did that just for you, Pete. I did that just for you.
Go ahead.
I'll be right back. I got to let Kai out the door. She's going bananas.
All right, stand by. We'll go out to Nikita Kucherov and his comments after the game in case you didn't catch him. Just unbelievable. I mean, the guy was partying. I mean, what do you think of his comments? We'll go out to him. Enjoy here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Here we go.
Lightning, we have Nikita Kucherov. Media, please raise your hand if you have a question. We'll start with Joe Smith, The Athletic.
Joe, let's hear it.
How would you describe your congratulations? How would you describe your emotions right now after doing what you guys did?
I don't know what to say. Back to back, and I couldn't sleep for 3 nights. And to be able to win this game is huge. Wasi was outstanding. MVP. I was telling him every day, Wasi, you're MVP. You're the best player. And then they gave it to whatever the guy in Vegas, the Vezina. And then last year they gave Vezina to somebody else. Number one bull. Wasi took both cups. He took MVP, and I was keep telling him he's MVP. He's the guy that he's the best. He was on his head today, and he kept us in the game. And another shout out by him, remarkable. Can't even tell more. I'm so happy I didn't want to go back to Montreal, but the fans in Montreal, come on. They acted like they won the Stanley Cup last game. Are you kidding me?
John Romano, Tampa Bay Times.
Their final was last series. Okay.
Welcome back to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. I mean, your thoughts. Number one, BS. I want to say it, but I can't say it. But I feel like there should be a shirt that's printed out there, and he's exactly right. Vasilevsky should have won the Vezina. Our own Leo Haggerty said it himself. Look out now, because this could be a sweep, because Vazzy had, that chip on his shoulder. But talk about Kucherov. I mean, isn't he just amazing, right?
They consider him arguably the top 3 in the world as far as offensive players. He's got, we've discussed that at length about what this guy can do with the puck. He's got eyes. He sees things that are happening. Sometimes at the team's detriment, he sees things happening before they're actually happening. He's got eyes sort of like you never want to really compare him to the great one and some of the other guys that have played in this game for so very long and so very long ago. But he does. You can just see it. I mean, sometimes his back blind passes just drive me crazy, but sometimes he expects his fellow teammates to be in certain positions, and at times they're not. So, but you can't take anything away from last night's. I mean, he was so great last year. I mean, I think Kuch likes to have a few. I think we can definitely say that without question. And last year at the celebration at Raymond James Stadium, he was pretty lit up and just having a great time with Jeff Vinik with Mr. Vinik. And I think within the next couple of days, you're going to see him once again in rare form. But, I know you didn't see this. You didn't play this in the clip, but if you guys watch it out there, it's runs about 5 minutes. And he doesn't say anything. He crumbles up his beer and he slides it like he's on the bar top, right? And as soon as he slides it over to the bar top, the bear just goes off to the side and he just cracks another one and starts hammering another one. It is so priceless. You guys got to watch the video. I mean, he goes into a few other things, and I just want to say one thing about Joe Smith. You hear him at the press conferences on a regular basis. He usually gets the number one question, or you understand, just like Leo does when he does the Bucks. And
sure,
Joe Smith, other than myself, pat on the back. Joe Smith is the best Tampa Bay Lightning beat writer out there. He writes for The Athletic. He is fantastic. I got a subscription to The Athletic for $1 for 6 months. So if you guys wanted some great Lightning hockey stuff, other than mine, of course, get out to Athletic and subscribe to Joe Smith, because he's just phenomenal when it comes to the Tampa Bay Lightning. He's got the inside. I'm the insider, but he's got the inside too, and he's just a great writer. So check out The Athletic if you have time, other than rocketsports-ent.com, of course.
All right, I tell you what, let's go out to these comments here really quick, and then we got the stash on. We can get him on. I want to get his thoughts, and you can stay on if you want to. Here, let's see. Who do we protect from Seattle? I mean, everybody's been talking about that. Much has been made about Tyler Johnson, Alex Killorn, Andre Palat, the usual suspects. Are those the guys that you feel like the Lightning may lose one of those? And who do you think it's most likely going to be? Is it going to be Johnson, Palat, or Killorn, or somebody else we're not talking about?
Well, Ryan McDonough is at 6.75 next year, and if Duncan Keith, they don't pick up Duncan Keith, they might look for a veteran defenseman like Ryan McDonough, especially after this playoff run, to come back and solidify the blue line. Unless the Lightning do make some kind of a trade with Seattle to say, hey, don't take any of our guys, but we're definitely going to have to lose. We talked about this before. We're going to have to lose at least $10 million in salary cap. So you might see an Andre Palat be out in the market for not only for a trade, but maybe go out to Seattle, who's a solid two-way player. I mean, didn't play great this series as far as putting the numbers were concerned, but when you needed him to get back on the puck and back check and be there, the guy's been rock solid for many seasons now. So, I'm hoping they keep Yanni Gord. I think Yanni is a key figure, especially if you end up losing, Blake Coleman and Goodrow. You need somebody like Yanni Gord. I'll take one of those guys on my team any day of the week. Heart and hustle, never stops. Doesn't mind getting punched in the face every once in a while, and he will drop the gloves. But you got to give it up to Coach Cooper and the discipline of this team. So the team's definitely going to look a little bit different next year, guys. But they're still going to have their studs. They're still going to have you're still going to have Braden Point for another year before he turns into a restricted free agent. You got Cirelli. You're going to have you're still going to have Stamkos and Kucherov, and it will be interesting to see if we do keep Alex Killorn. But on the back end, guys, if McDonough stays, you're still going to have Victor Hedman. You're going to have Jan Ruda, who's manageable at $1.3 million. You're still going to have Eric Cernak, and you're still going to have the Cat back there. So this team is built to compete for the long run. And yes, there's going to be some moving parts, but my faith is in Julien Brisebois to get the job done and keep this team moving.
Yeah. All right. Let's read these comments, and then we're going to make this a hockey roundtable. We got the stash once again of Shooter and Stash, and of course, Mr. TJ Reeves, old friend there of the Buccaneer Radio Network. I'm going to have Jason Powers on here in just a little bit. Let's go out to Ben. He says, "Is Rob the new troll? Not if you don't want. If you don't want to be the troll, then he'll be it. But you're always the troll here on the sports."
I just want to say one thing about Rob. Rob's on his own little island, but he's been very respectful to me and Rick throughout the years. He's been basically our number one caller and one of the big supporters of Rocket Sports and Entertainment and the Sports Web. So, I've given Rob a ton of garbage throughout the years because Rob does come with some not very ice cold takes, but I give the guy a lot of respect. He's very loyal to us, and hey, I won't call Rob a troll, but he's an interesting guy, and I like him a lot.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I give him that. Let's see. Troy Polamalu, King Troy, Trojan Legend, Lightning won through the Brady effect. We'll talk about Brady's comments on the Stanley Cup there. I'll ask you a question before we get you out of here, unless you want to stay around. Go Suns, go. Okay, Pat Foley, best in hockey.
I agree with that.
Okay.
I agree with that. Yeah,
right.
Well, after Doc Emmerich left last year, I think Pat Foley was the best in hockey, and he's actually getting ready to retire. And it was great hearing Eddie Olczyk on air, but get me Jeremy Roenick back either in the booth or over doing. It's going to be interesting. I love Roenick. I think he brings a lot of sauce and a lot of spice, but unfortunately he lost his position because he went a little bit the PC police went after him and got him. But I'm looking forward to more hockey on ESPN next year. That's big, and we're going to talk a little bit about that during the off season. That is huge for the sport that I love. That ESPN is going to be covering hockey. Love them or hate them, they still carry a big stick, and now it's going to be a big hockey stick.
Absolutely. And I think it'll be a lot better than NBC Sports Network and NBC. Honestly, I think fans are kind of tired of the biased, if you will. I've listened to the announcers, and I think they're just a little, just a tad. All right.
Kenny Albert's a little bit on the bias side, and especially during some of the earlier rounds when we had, I'm going to use this term very loosely, some scrub announcers. And I was like, what are these guys even looking at? And we talked about it. You're talking about Vasilevsky, and you're talking about the other goalie on Bobrovsky.
Yeah.
What are you doing? I mean, you said it 5 times in one period. I mean, you can't do that if you're a professional, play-by-play or color guy. You just can't make that mistake. It's sort of like, saying the players' names wrong on a regular basis. I don't know. You got to go back to school or something, or go to France or something and learn French. Who loves you, baby? Who loves you?
Doctor playing goalie. He's got the stick, the glove, and the Vazzy. And let me go out to Ben again, who's barking. That is Travis's dog in the background. Let's go out to the stash here really quick from Shooter. Absolutely. Get him on. And let's go out to Mr. TJ Reeves. Guys, welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. Got to start it out with the stash here. How are you feeling about your Tampa Bay Lightning back-to-back Stanley Cup champions? Pretty good, right?
Yeah, it doesn't get much better, how we feel right now. Tampa Bay Lightning fans, the way it ended is almost perfect. You couldn't be any better with the 1-0 shutout. The way it was in that arena. I was the only one of our show that didn't get down there. I had a family obligations. I couldn't get down there and be back in time to my wife to go to work this morning. So I got to watch it and kind of be on this end of it. And I actually kind of had the show like post-game show just by myself for like an hour last night, just chilling with the fans, watching the post game and all that. So just an amazing feeling, man. And of course, you guys were kind of talking about it right whenever I got into the green room, if you will. And Cooch's interview, I'm coming in just slightly less drunk and slightly less shirtless than Cooch was. But man, how that was just to me the best part of this all, because that's a Russian hockey player, guys. You know what I mean? That's what I take away from it. Look at Vasi. That guy is what you would expect from a Russian goalie. And Cherney, even though he's got some personality, or he's still they're just not necessarily the same as the way Cooch has been these last couple of seasons. He's just lined up so much, and he's opened up so much for what he does in these moments right now. And man, that was great to watch that post-game presser from him.
Yeah,
all the little nuances, the beer, all that stuff, man. Are you kidding? Are you kidding? Like, that's like my go-to line. I love it. So yeah, and then just getting to see the guys take 2 laps with the cup around the ice. The whole organization down there too, not just players and coaches, but all the staff and everyone that's been there too. Because, this is like, 10 years in the making. It's not just last year or the year before that, but ever since Mr. Vinnick came, this has been the goal, not just to win one, not just to be there but to be this type of team that competes perennially, and to see that it finally paid off back-to-back seasons. And then these guys have the experience they did with the fans, with the full arena, in spite of none of us really wanting it as fans back here, in spite of, we talked about it before the pregame with the mayor and everything. But it was nice. It was nice to see those guys have that moment and have the pressers in their own building and do all that, so just fantastic, man. Just feeling fantastic. And, you guys were talking about the cap and some of the cuts that might be happening to some of the moves. I got my own notions on that, but man, right now I'm still just trying to take at least 1 or 2 more days and just think about what this group of guys have achieved, over the last decade or so, and the process and the work that these guys have put in, and to see them get rewarded back to back like this is it's phenomenal.
Yeah, it is.
I got to give you big props on that too. When you said that, they've been building this since, for the last decade or so. It starts off with losing against Boston in Game 7, and obviously going through the Stanley Cup in 2015, and just like you said, sticking with it and raising the cup the last 2 years. And TJ, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, it's great to be with you guys, especially when we're celebrating incredibly a 3rd championship in 10 months in Tampa Bay. I mean, I have said that. I've said that for the last 24 hours. This is a third championship in 10 months. And I don't know if that's really sunk in as of yet, because I think Travis and I are a little older. Although, Peter, you've got like the playoff beard going, brother. I love that about you. You're looking like a more grizzled veteran by the day with the beard. But Travis and I are a little older. And so we go back to the 80s when there was only the Buccaneers and they were horrible. And there was no Lightning, there was no Rays. And then the Rays and the Lightning both kind of came in around the same time, Lightning a little before, and they were horrible. So now to be sitting here in the golden age of Tampa Bay sports, it's surreal. It's surreal to be talking about there's going to be another parade coming Monday.
A boat parade on Monday at 11 o'clock. Let's add to this. Let's go out to the shooter himself of Shooter and Stash. Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. And go ahead and give me your thoughts about this boat parade on Monday at 11 o'clock. Are you taking off for it or what?
How did this guy sneak into the stadium? What's going on here?
Yeah, right.
Never
I'm
left.
here. I'm
he
here.
never left. He's still there from last night.
First of all, this guy, the Stash, number one BSer. So number one BSer. You can't listen to this guy, okay? I know him. I'm just missing the beer. I'm just missing the Bud Light in my hand here.
And you have your shirt on.
Yeah, it's true. I decided to spare you guys and keep my shirt on.
Thank God for that. So let's go ahead.
No, the boat parade. I'm pumped. I don't know if I'll be there for that one yet. But I was there last night, and man, it was dream come true type of stuff, right? We got to see it last year, but we just got to see it last year, right? We didn't get to be there last year. And I said it last night, it's kind of like that first one last year, 2020, in the bubble was really for them after kind of going through all the issues that they've had as a team, and really not that many issues, a lot of success and a lot of letdowns. And to just have that kind of build up and that roller coaster ride accumulate to them being able to do what they did in the bubble, which, a lot of people want to call it the Mickey Mouse Cup. And they're saying the same thing about this one. But no, it wasn't at all. It was probably the hardest cup to win. And then to come back after, a shortened season, a strange season where really they didn't really know what was going to happen this season until very late. Right before they started the season, and to come back with, a shortened period of rest, players injured, and to do what they did again was awesome. So I felt like really last year was really for them as a team to kind of come together, and this year it was to celebrate it with us, the fans, and actually having their family there was probably a huge deal, and it was awesome. So I'm excited. I got to figure out how to get to the boat parade. I already had some stuff going on Monday, so I gotta finagle my way to downtown Tampa.
You know what we have to do? We have to tell Mr. Vinnick's son to not get married this weekend, because that's the whole deal. If he's not getting married, that boat parade's on Sunday, and everybody's going down there. So,
well, look, we got a legend right here in TJ Reeves. He's got the hookup, so I know he's probably got his own boat or yacht, or some connection on that boat or yacht, right, TJ?
Yeah, no, mine's a dinghy. I'm much like Ted Knight in Caddyshack, which again may predate the younger guys that are here, where he's given the whole speech and then knocks off part of his boat. But for me, we got private aircraft and private jets. Why can't we have the boat parade on Saturday morning? Because I'm fairly confident the owner's son's not getting married Saturday morning. Have the boat parade at like 10 a.m. Saturday morning, and then go get on the private plane and go to the wedding. That would be me, but we're going to wait apparently until Monday and have it. He's got the tens of millions. He owned the team, and the celebration was so muted last year. I understand why they want to build it up and all be involved, so that part makes sense. And so I will say this for you guys, that it has been a crazy last couple of weeks for me. My family and I'm getting the photo. We were with my identical twin daughters and my wife, we were at Game 7. So there is Reeves' team photo at Game 7 with the Islanders for the 1-0 win. Nice. So we got the Game 7 1-0 win. And then we flew out to a pre-planned Las Vegas vacation with the twins turning 13 years old and my wife and I celebrating an anniversary. We had been anticipating that we were going to be out there for Game 1, Las Vegas and the Lightning. And of course, Montreal screws that up. Vegas screws that up, and they lose. So the closest that we could get with that was watching the games on TV. And a lot of the fans that are watching or whatever may have watched on TV, but some of them were able to go to the game. So here we were 3,000 miles away in Vegas wearing our Lightning stuff in Vegas, hanging out for that to go on. And watch the first two games in Las Vegas. And I was looking at potentially having to crack their college fund if we were going to have to pay our way into the T-Mobile Arena for Lightning at nights for game 1 or game 2. So that didn't work out. In any event, I wore the lucky 1993 second season of the Lightning jersey, the original logo, whatever, all through the Stanley Cup final. So we went for the victory milkshake last night. I'm showing the audience here on the Notoriety Sports Network and I Love St. Pete. Peter Blake, there it is.
Yes.
The victory milkshake from last night with the Twins and my father in the back, all with the Stanley Cup stuff. So we were living vicariously through all you guys that got to go in the building for the Stanley Cup finals.
There you go.
It was awesome, TJ. I wish you were there. Hey, guys, I got to take off, but it's been an absolute pleasure. You, Shooter, and Stash, you guys do a great job. And obviously the legend, TJ Reeves. Looking forward to seeing you this fall with at Buccaneers, TJ. Looking forward to it, man. Good seeing you again. And Pete, thank you very much. And we'll definitely discuss, the hot stove or the hot stick league coming up as far as the off season. So, hey, congrats to you and your family with the 13-year-olds too, Pete, TJ, and the anniversary. That's fantastic. Wish it would have played out a little bit better for you in Vegas, but I think we got the result that we were looking for with the Canadians. So. Take care, guys, and I will definitely see you soon. And thanks again, Pete.
All right, there you go. There's my Tampa Bay Lightning insider, Mr. Travis Faley of Rocket Sports and Entertainment. Thanks a lot for your time, boss. All right, and he's
thanks.
There you go. So we'll go out to the Power Man.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
And we'll add Mr. Jason Powers on Sports Podcast. Your thoughts on the Tampa Bay Lightning back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. Welcome to the Evolution.
First of all, Peter, I am in what company I am in. Legends, you with the playoff beard. We got the Shooter. We got the Stash. I've never met those guys. I'm just privileged to be on the podcast on the simulcast.
There you go. Go ahead and introduce yourself. The Power Man himself, Jason Powers, the Shooter, the Stash. Of course, you know TJ Reeves. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Go for it.
Jason Powers. While you guys were all partying at the arena, TJ was in Vegas partying like a rock star. I had to settle for going to Ducky's on Kennedy to watch the action last night. It was packed and it was very exciting, but I was a mere 2 miles away from Amalie Arena at one Ducky's Sports Bar on Kennedy Boulevard.
Nice, very nice. All right, I got to ask you guys. We got our hockey roundtable here, Mr. TJ Reeves of the Buccaneer Radio Network, the Shooter, the Stash, of course, We the Thunder podcast, tremendous popularity. It's blowing up. If you watch it last night, if you've been watching it throughout the season, you do a hell of a job. So definitely tune into it. And look, I don't promote everybody, but these guys I'm going to definitely promote. And then, of course, the Power Man himself, Mr. Jason Powers on Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Blake. Yes.
Can I ask I want to ask a serious question to the roundtable in all seriousness.
Okay, go for it.
What would have happened? First of all, people don't realize the Lightning were one series away from having a new head coach. If the Lightning don't win game 1 in 2020 against Columbus, that 4-5 overtime special, if they don't get out of that series with Columbus, John Cooper probably doesn't make it. He's probably getting replaced. So how tenuous this was a year and a half ago when John Cooper and company had to face Columbus in the rematch in round 1 up in the bubble. Where would this franchise have been had they lost that 4-5 overtime game 1 to Columbus a mere 18 months ago?
I'm going to start off with TJ, and then I'll go to the Stash, Shooter, and then come back to you, Jason. But I'll tell you right now, for me, I don't know if that was ever – I think that was more fans, right? TJ saying, John Cooper's going to get fired because this team hasn't necessarily lived up to, all their expectations. I mean, have you heard anything? And how preposterous is it to talk about Cooper being fired now?
Well, it is now. Obviously, it is now. But what Jason's point is, after they got swept in 2019, if they had gone through with this in the bubble and they had been beaten up again by Columbus, I think there would have been tremendous pressure on them, contract extension or not, on Jeff Vinik and Brisebois on you got to make a coaching change. When the Chicago Blackhawks fired Joel Quenneville, and Shooter and Stash know that name, and Powers, you know that name, and Peter, I don't know how much you know that name, the guy that led them to 3 Stanley Cup wins, and they fired him for having a couple of bad seasons or having a bad season, then it can happen to anybody. In pro sports, especially in hockey and basketball, you are hired to be fired. But man, this is why we love debates, don't we, boys?
Yes.
Because they won that series, and then they win in the bubble, and now they come back around in another postseason and win again. And John Cooper is an immortal now in this market as the coach of the Lightning. Anybody going to disagree with that? I don't think anybody's going to disagree with that.
I mean, It could have been Stash. It could have been a situation where, look, Tony Dungy builds the team up, but he can't necessarily get the team over. I mean, did you ever have any thoughts? And did you think that the fans ever had any thoughts of, trying to get rid of a John Cooper?
I mean, it was everywhere, right? I mean, we talked about it almost ad nauseum on our show back that season and going into last year's playoff run of however the fire Coop. I mean, it was everywhere, right? And yeah, I mean, if they lose that game, then with Tortorella behind the bench and the same thing, yeah, who knows what happens there? The hypotheticals off the charts, like Earth 32, right? Whenever they actually come back and get swept again, right? And then sure, who knows? I mean, and there's so many opportunities for what coach would have been able to come in here and everything else. I mean, it's crazy to think what we were so close to, because I do agree that TJ, that's what this whole coaching world is. You gotta produce. And if you have this kind of talent, and like I said, it's a decade-long endeavor that this team has been on. And so, everyone kind of was like, oh, the 16th or the 15th season was like a learning process, and you kind of got to learn to lose before you can win. I mean, we talk about that with some of the greatest franchise or dynasties in the league. They had to lose first before they could get over the hump and, win 3-4 in a row, 5 and 7, those teams back there. So yeah, it easily could have been someone else here if Coop doesn't basically go back to the drawing board and completely take this team down to the nuts and bolts and start that mantra of it's more about what we keep out than what we put in. Because as soon as he got his guys to finally buy into that message and that mantra, that's when this team completely changed. And that's when you've seen then these last 2 seasons of this team is now it's not about offense, it's about defense, and puck possession is the best defense you can have, and playing hard in all 3 zones. So it's crazy to think that the very thing that got these teams back to back and Coop's mantra could have not even been here if these guys didn't buy in at some point last season.
Shooter, how do you feel about that situation? I mean, it certainly looked like there was a possibility with this sweep from Columbus that Cooper could possibly be fired if he doesn't win. Of course, win a Stanley Cup, because the talent has always been there. It's been there for the last 6 to 7 years, right?
Yeah, so it's tough to tell if that would have happened, because since Jeff Vinik's owned the Lightning, I think we've only had John Cooper as a coach. There might have been someone else before him, so we don't really know kind of how they kind of handle coaching and firing coaches. So
for the record,
I think it's
for the record, they
right?
fired Guy Boucher, who had gotten them to the Eastern Conference Finals, and when they got eliminated the next year in the playoffs, they fired him, and then eventually that led them to John Cooper. Just for the record, go on with your thought.
Yeah, so even that thinking doesn't align with what's happened with John Cooper in the last 6 years. Because if you look at 2015, they were on pace to win the Stanley Cup that year, right? They got to play with Chicago. They were up in that series. They lost in 6 games. 2016 comes around, get to the Eastern Conference Finals, lose to the Penguins in 7 games. Also led that series and blew the last 2 games. So 2017 comes around. They did not qualify for the playoffs. 2018 comes around, make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, lose in 7 games to the Caps. By the way, Caps and Pens both went on to win the Cup those years. Mm-hmm. But they were also up in that series 3-2. Cooper didn't get fired after that. 2019, they got swept. they still stuck with Cooper. So yeah, legitimate that after that 2019 sweep, if they didn't get out of that first round, that could have been the end for Cooper. But I think we all understand now that probably would have been a huge mistake. But coaching in the NHL is funny though, because coaches don't last long. And, it's subjective as far as how much they affect the game. I think they do. And I think Cooper's comment last night was kind of tongue in cheek with the whole, these guys do all the work and I just sit here and chew gum. But yeah, Cooper could have been out of here any one of those years if, we didn't have kind of that organizational structure. I think that's really kept this team together.
All right, I got to go out to TJ Reeves because we got to get him out of here. He's a busy man. TJ, you've got a story you told me off air. Go ahead, explain this story. I always love a good TJ Reeves story.
All right. So out in Vegas, Uncle TJ's full of stories tonight. I'm full of it most of the time. So out in Vegas, I'm wearing the Lightning hat and a shirt, and a guy from Tampa walks up to me. The guy's name is Justin Zaki, who lives in downtown Tampa. And Justin goes, "Hey, you're from Tampa?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Bro, I got to show this to you." He proceeds to show me not one, but 2 tickets. He had to make 2 separate bets because of the amount of money that was riding on it, where he had bet the Lightning in April out in Vegas at 8 or 8 to 1. One ticket was 8 to 1. The other ticket was 8.5 to 1. So he bet 20 grand total to win $160,000 on those 2 bets on the Lightning to win the Stanley Cup. Now, obviously, as playoffs got underway, the Lightning were one of the favorites. They became a 3-1 favorite, a 2-1 favorite, something like that once they won a series or 2. But my man had 160 grand riding on that. And then he shows me the ticket that the day before we met, right before game 1 started, he bet Andrei Vasilevsky, to be the Conn Smythe winner at 4 to 1. He put another 5 grand on the 4 to 1 odds on Vasilevsky to be the MVP of the playoffs. My man Justin Zaki flew back. He had been in Las Vegas. He flew back for game 5 and was in the house last night. He won 180 grand last night on the Lightning winning and Vasilevsky being the MVP. I wish I had like a fraction of that. I was waiting. I was kind of like lobbying Peter Blake for like, where is your post-game party? Are we on a Lear jet somewhere? What are we doing? And Justin apparently went back to Vegas to collect his money. He is cashing 3 tickets that I saw for $180,000 off the Tampa Bay Lightning win. And he lives downtown. He flew back here from Vegas, got in because of the tropical storm. He got in midday yesterday, had to go through Charlotte, got in midday yesterday when the airport opened back up, and I think flew back to Vegas this afternoon. I've not heard from him. And he will have to have wheelbarrows and maybe even one of those armored trucks to get his money out of the desert. How about that story on the sports web tonight?
I love it. I absolutely love it. 180,000. I love to have it. I mean, maybe I need to go hit him up for a loan here, TJ. So really quick, I want to get this final question into you. In your opinion, is this the best Lightning team of all time with all the Stanley Cups?
Oh, it has to be.
Okay.
It has to be with back-to-back wins and all the great players they have. I mean, I have love going all the way back to the original guys with Darren Pupa and Chris Gratton and all the names that people have long forgotten that were stars on the team in the 1990s. Roman Hammerlick and all the original Lightning players. But you move through to Marty St. Louis, Vinny LeCavalier, Nikolai Hobby-Bulin as the goalie when they won in 2004. But to have this 3-year run, I mean, the shooter and Stash knows this. They know this. Jason Powers knows this. They won 62 games in that 2019 regular season. That doesn't accidentally happen. That is a phenomenal year. And they got smoked in a 4-game series where John Cooper got outcoached. John Tortorella and his staff outcoached them, and they smoked them. But to then come back and win back-to-back cups, I mean, we're going to talk about this for 25 years in this market. I don't care if they can win anything else from here on out. we're going to talk about what this team just did. So, yes, this is the golden age of Tampa Bay sports and of Lightning hockey. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
I mean, I'm going to go to them. Let's go out to the stash. I mean, how do you feel about this? The best team in Lightning history, in your opinion?
Well, I had the benefit of moving here. I mean, I grew up in the Panhandle of Florida, so I was here when the Lightning came here, and I had a lot of friends from up north, so I was all about hockey from like 7 or 8, even though I was a Florida kid. I grew up loving and watching hockey. The Pittsburgh team that went back-to-back in the 90s with Lemieux and Yager, I watched those guys. I moved out to New Mexico. My dad retired from the Navy. We moved back where my family's from. I watched the Avalanche and the Red Wings go back and forth in the late 90s, and I saw those teams. And then when I moved here, I was lucky. I moved here the year before we went in 03, right before we went to the playoffs in 04, and I was there for all those games. And I saw this team kind of evolve and go through all that. So to now be here for the last 10 years and be as involved as I have been, especially the last 6 or 7, yeah, I mean, there's no question that the caliber of talent that this team has and the way they've built this team, it's not just the greatest team. It's one of the, it's going to be hard to top this franchise and where they're at right now overall as a franchise and the way they built it from within. So, I mean, you're looking at 5 or 6 potential Hall of Famers on this team right now. And maybe 2 or 3 from that 04 team, so that alone, you look at it, this is definitely the best Lightning hockey team you might ever see here.
Shooter.
We're never going to have a better team than this. Never going to happen. I would say this team would beat, and I'll just talk about teams in the 2000s because I don't want to go back to the 90s and before because it was a different game back then. But Pittsburgh Penguins, last team to go back-to-back, Malkin, Crosby, we would beat those
Fleury.
guys.
Yep.
We would beat those guys. Yeah, that guy in Vegas, we would beat those guys.
Whoever that guy is.
Whoever that guy is.
Chicago Blackhawks, right? The dynasty. We would beat them with this roster. We almost beat them in 2015 when these guys were rookies, okay?
Yeah.
LA Kings, I throw them in there. They had a couple championships. We would beat those guys too. I wish that there was some way for them to play. I would take this team all day. I would put all of that guy's money on the Lightning, and we would share the profits. He did a lot better than me. In 2015, when we made it to the finals at the beginning of the season, I don't think anyone expected us to be in the finals, but I happened to be in Vegas, and I expected us to. I had 20-1 odds. I only put $20 on it, so not as much of a high roller. But I would have been a high roller that night, but 2 games away. But yeah, I think I guess you can't call a team a dynasty unless they win 3 in 4 years. Somebody told me that, but hey, if that 2019 thing didn't happen, maybe they go on to win in 2019. But I don't know. I think the moves they made and just the reaction from that horrible series really helped this team kind of get over the hurdle.
All right, Jason Powers, the Power Man. What do you say?
I'm with you because if you listen to the broadcast last night, Ed Olczyk made a great point. We probably have 4 of the top 25 guys in the league with Vasilevsky, Hedman, Kucherov, Braden Point. There ain't another team in the league that can probably even say they have 2 guys. So there's no doubt. TJ made a great point. This is the golden age. We're probably going to get depleted here a little bit with the expansion draft and free agency. I mean, we are over the salary cap. And remember, guys, we came into the playoffs as a 3 seed in our division. We didn't even have home ice advantage the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. Obviously, part of that was the Kucherov thing, but we had to come. We had to start the first 2 series on the road, and potentially, if Vegas would have won, would have had to play the third 3 out of 4 series on the road. So, no doubt, this is the most star-studded team in Lightning history.
All right, let me go out to TJ Reeves because I know you got to get out of here. You got something going on with Smack Apparel, and then one final question for you: does somebody try to do the Tom Brady here and throw that Stanley Cup? First of
all, a shooter and stash, no. The Stanley Cup, and I have had the chance to be around it, it's like 35 pounds. You can't throw that thing. I mean, you saw those guys holding it up. All right, it's one thing to hold it up. It's like 35 pounds. But to try to throw it, no. They may pass it to somebody on a different boat. I don't know. The one plug that I was going to get, I'm wearing the shirt. Now watch this. This is live show. I'm wearing the back to boat shirt from our friends at Smack Apparel. All right, so we're going back to boat. Use the promo code BOLTS21. Look at my man, Peter Blake. He's got the graphic. If you want this shirt, go to smackapparel.com. The TV locally here has been all over these guys since yesterday and today, printing this shirt up. The Back to Boat shirt, smackapparel.com. If you use that promo code, you get 21% off while they last. And they have printed and sold hundreds of them this week alone. So get in there from our guys at Smack Apparel. They're based right here in Tampa. BOLT21 is the promo code. Don't look at my mug one more time. There's the shirt. We're going back to boat with the lightning bolts in the shirt. Go back to boat with Smack Apparel. So Peter Blake, thank you for the plug for those guys. And I got to get you guys hooked up with some back to boat shirts now that you let me get the plug in here for all of you guys, because we're going back to the boat parade on Monday, boys.
Yeah, sounds good. TJ Reeves of the Buccaneer Radio Network. Once again, go ahead and promote yourself, my friend.
Hey, you already do a great job. You can find me at Bucs Sideline Guy. It'll be the Bucs season soon enough. We're looking forward to that. I keep joking every time I come on any of these shows. I have no tickets for the opening game with the Cowboys. Good luck on the secondary market. Good luck with however I'm going to be lucky to get myself into that game. I'm looking forward to that. But for right now, let's enjoy what the Lightning have done. The Rays making the World Series, the Bucs winning the Super Bowl. It has been an incredible last 10 months. But for these guys to win it for a second straight time, incredible. We're going to talk about this for 25 years. I'm telling you, we're going to talk about back-to-back or back-to-boat for 25 years, boys. Great to be with you.
All right, there you go. TJ Reeves, the legend here in the Tampa Bay sports market. Of course, Fox Sports Radio nationally. He used to host a show and give me 5-6 minutes where a sports talk show didn't even give me 2 seconds. That's TJ Reeves, Bucs Sideline Guy. Thanks a lot for your time here.
See you, boys.
Of Sports Talk Television. Appreciate you. There you go. TJ Reeves, we're back here with the shooter and stash, and of course, the power man. I got to give him to him.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Jason Powers on Sports Podcast. Guys, what do you say? Is anybody going to throw that? Is there going to be shenanigans, if you will? Going back to Super Troopers, that word, say shenanigans, pistol whip you. Is there going to be shenanigans that are going to happen during this boat parade on Monday at 11 a.m., Stash?
Yeah, absolutely. These guys are still going to be drunk next Monday from now. Are you kidding me? I mean, I don't know about you guys, but Shooter and I had the pleasure of being down there at Armature Works last year, right at the end, where they had to go and turn around and everything. And I mean, Pat Maroon almost died. We almost didn't have back-to-back cups. He almost fell off the top of the boat after he tripped on the Garmin radar on the top, and it was actually Big Mac that kept him from falling off. That's Ryan McDonough's best save of his entire career, because Pat Maroon almost went ass over tea kettle right off that boat, and who knows what happens there. Big rig him, you know what I'm saying? It was crazy. So we got to go to the arena, and I know that they were in a bubble last year, but I feel like you're going to have even 10 times the energy of the celebration. Mr. Vinnick obviously is going to be gone, come back, but I don't think these boys are going to be stopping. I mean, I think there was something on social media at 7:30 this morning, the captain with the cup in front of the bay saying, hey, back-to-back means no bedtime. So, yeah, man, I think it's going to be crazy, and I guarantee I'll be there.
All right, good stuff. Shooter.
Yeah, I'm going to guess that they're getting a stern warning from the NHL to not even attempt anything.
I want to ask something. Is Mayor Castor, Jane Castor, is she going to be the one that's going to give them the warning, and are they going to just avoid it altogether? I mean, is she going to stop talking sports in this area? I mean, honestly.
I think she might have learned her lesson. She might have learned her lesson after that last comment about Game 4. But I will predict we will see some fake tosses like they are pretending to. But hey, if you guys want to see, for whatever reason, the Stanley Cup sink to the bottom of the bay, we did a Thanksgiving 2020 video. Go watch that video. It's one of our animations, the Thanksgiving 2021. If you want to see the cup go to the bottom of the bay, the Tom Brady's involved, the Rays are involved, and of course the Lightning are involved. So you can live out that dream. We already made it happen.
Yeah, it's a great cartoon. It's absolutely phenomenal, and I love how you guys roast Stu Sternberg every chance you get. You guys did it. That's why I have you here on the Sports Web. Jason Powers, shenanigans.
They'll be the only shenanigans I can see them pouring a lot of beer in that cup and funneling it out of that cup. But I don't think there are going to be any kind of transfers from boat to boat or, I think you'll be seeing some drinking out of the cup of some Budweiser or whatever the beer of the NHL is. But I don't think you'll see any because, like TJ said, that's 35 pounds, and they're not going to risk doing something that's going to look bad on the organization if they were to do something stupid with the cup. So no, nothing stupid, but they'll have some fun with the cup, no doubt.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, guys, I'm going to finish out with this. I'll get you out of here, Shooter and Stash. We'll keep you on here, Jason, because I know everybody here most likely has not had a lot of sleep, including yours truly here. Has the Bolts, in your opinion, surpassed the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and, of course, the Tampa Bay Rays with the back-to-back Stanley Cup? Stash, go.
I don't think so. I mean, this is going to be a football town. It was a football town. TJ was talking about it earlier, how that was the only game in town for a long time. The soul of the sports fan here in Tampa is definitely Bucks, but man, you can't deny how much ground the Lightning have gained in the last 5 or 6 years, specifically since Mr. Vinnick has gotten here. So it's a conversation, at least that these days. You know what I'm saying? I think definitely it's still Buccaneers town, but man, there's a lot of Lightning love around here. That's for sure.
That's absolutely sure. Shooter, what do you say?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. This is a football town. It's also a football nation, really. So football's king. I think the cool thing about hockey in the Lightning is you've seen since 2004 just everything really grow and grow and grow, and it's been awesome to see. And I've seen some people talking smack about like, hey, the arena was empty, like, before midnight or whatever. Like there was no one outside the arena. Well, I was there, and the reason why is, first of all, it was pouring rain when everyone was piling out of the stadium, so everyone was dispersing. The other reason was the Lightning shut everything down. Like people wanted to probably go grab a beer after they watched their team win the Stanley Cup. I got in 2 lines. They shut down both bars, Cigar City and the Cantina there out in the plaza. So anyone that thinks that people weren't partying in Tampa, that area, if you haven't been there lately, is a construction zone. They're building a second part to downtown. So there's not much going on in that area. And a lot of people went to, like, I was at Yeoman's and it was packed. And I'm sure a lot of people went to go find a refreshing beverage and maybe a snack after that game. But yeah, to answer your question, this is a football town. The Lightning, like the Stash said, are gaining ground very quickly, but I don't know if they'll ever catch the Bucks.
Jason.
I mean, one thing, the guys made great points. The Lightning are no longer a niche in Tampa Bay. They are a staple and a foundation of this community. I think the Bucks are still going to always be 1A as long as they're competitive. The Lightning can definitely be a 1B, though, not far behind. And like you said, the crowd, the support in the community, whether we're very good or not, the attendance has always been really good at Amalie, regular season games, things like that. So definitely a 1B to the 1A of the Buccaneers. And you never know. I don't think they'll ever overtake the Buccaneers because we're in the deep South, but in football. But what's wrong with a 1B when you're that strong of a 1B?
Yeah, I'm telling you right now. Now, with that, all that being said, Jeff Vinnick to me is the greatest owner, if not the best owner in the Tampa Bay area. Is it okay now to say that Jeff Vinnick could be the best owner in all of professional sports? Stash.
Now, I've been saying it for 5 or 6 years.
Drew set you free. You're exactly right.
It hasn't been a conversation for a while. And luckily you've seen the owners over there at One Buck and whatnot. They've started kind of following suit and started taking notes. The owner of the team down the place in St. Pete needs to pay more attention and stop being a crybaby and start being part of the community. But yeah, I mean, he is the best, and what he's done not just for the team but for the community. As Shooter said, there's a whole new downtown being built. He's the main reason that's happening. You can't say enough about what kind of owner and aside from everything else, how much money has he given back to this community and his philanthropy? $25 million. He's giving away $100,000 every home game. You know what I'm saying? Like this guy, that you can't talk enough about how good of an owner he is and how good he is for the team and how good he is for our community.
Just lower the beer prices a little bit, Jeff. It's a little pricey to have a beverage at Amalie Arena.
Not wrong about that.
All right, Shooter.
Yeah, hey, I got a solution for that. And they do this in a lot of other stadiums. They've got this thing going on with Cigar City. So have Cigar City make them a special Lightning beer that they only serve at the stadium and charge us like half price for it, because those beers can get expensive. Jeff Vinnick, great. I think he's been a great owner. I think he's been the best owner, one of the best owners in sports, but I think what he has now is added to that resume as a winning owner in sports, not only winning one, but now 2 championships. And I don't know what the guy does next. They should have named, they're building up this Water Street. It should be Vinnick Street.
Right.
Yeah, I agree, guys. All right, I'm going to get you out of here. Once again, Shooter and Stash, go ahead and promote yourself.
Hey, we've been doing this a while. We are Shooting the Stash. You can find us on Facebook. We do all those animations I could talk about. We're doing them for a while. We do the We the Thunder podcast. Obviously, that's now winding down. We'll probably do one more show here for the draft and everything else. But right now, we're running in a Rays season 2. So we got the We the 98ers is our Rays podcast. A couple of guys on our stream do that for us too. Check us out because we'll be coming back next season too. You never know what we're going to be doing. You can follow us on Twitter at TalkStash, at Shooty Shoots. We're on YouTube, all the major outlets out there for media. You can find us, and we'll be back next season with bells on and ready to go for number 3.
There you go. Good stuff there, guys. Thanks a lot, Shooter and Stash, for coming on the evolution of Sports Talk Television live on the Notoriety Sports Network. And, of course, I love St. Pete.
Thanks, Pierre.
All right. Yep. See you guys. There you go. Go. Absolutely. We got Mr. Jason Powers on here. Let's go out to the comments here really quick. I mean, it has been a hockey roundtable night because your Tampa Bay Lightning are back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. I love firing that. All right, let's go out to the comments right here. Bucks time 12. Congrats. Bolts, fire those cannons as we step out. Troy Polamalu, King Troy, do you think the Rowdies will now also bring a championship? I mean, I'll go out to you, buddy. You were just at a Rowdies game. Are the Rowdies going to be the next one in Tampa Bay?
They got a good squad, man. They're in first place in the USL. Our buddy Drew Felios is the play-by-play guy for them. They were in the championship game last year. They should have a championship. They were going to host the championship game of the USL right as COVID hit, which then canceled the championship game. So some would argue they're co-champions of the USL from last year. Can you give them a championship? No, because they didn't win it, but they were in their version of the Super Bowl for the USL championship last year, and they're strong contenders to be there again this year as well.
All right, talking soccer here. I never thought we would do that on the Sports Web. And, of course, open phone line because this is what I'm hearing tonight. We got one call. What are you guys doing? Sleeping? 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Jason Powers. Let's go back out to
a couple things. Let me make a quick comment, Peter. You made a great comparison talking about Pat Maroon. We were talking about Pat Maroon earlier. Yeah. He's our version of Rob Gronkowski in the locker room. He's the Lightning's version of Gronk. Loosey-goosey, always playing around, keeping the spirit of the dressing room up. I think that's a great intangible that a lot of people have probably missed with Pat Maroon.
And that's the thing. Everybody says, well, he's a hard-nosed guy. He's gritty. He's not going to score goals. But in Game 4, that was a huge goal set up by Joseph there that I believe tied the game up and puts him, into overtime. And you're just that close. King. How many posts, Jason Powers, did they hit in Game 4? 3 of them. Kucherov nearly ends it. And I'll tell you right now, if Kucherov ends it there, that probably goes down as one of the greatest moments, not only in Tampa Bay Lightning history, Tampa Bay sports history, right up there with Marty St. Louis in Game 6 in Calgary.
Now, you're absolutely right. I'm going to give you I know you're a wrestling guy, so I'm going to give you a comparison. Vasilevsky is our version of our boy, the former Russian sickle, Nikita Koloff, who I know you know all about.
Oh, yes.
Ooh, yeah.
Well, that's not the wrong guy, but of course we do know about him. I tell you right now, Vasilevsky, to me, Kucherov walked in there last night and he was like Ric Flair.
Yes.
I mean, the guy was styling and profiling. And I'll tell you what, in case you fans didn't get a chance to see this interview, we're going to take a break. I'm going to rest my vocal cords here, give the power man a rest. Let me put you back into the gallery here. And in case you didn't get a chance to catch these classic comments by Nikita Kucherov, if I could talk, we'll go ahead and let you listen to him again here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. And we'll come back and get your thoughts here on his comments. And of course, the Tampa Bay Lightning back-to-back champions. Here we go.
Lightning, we have Nikita Kucherov. Media, please raise your hand if you have a question. We'll start with Joe Smith, The Athletic.
Joe, let's hear it.
Just
Let's go,
how would you describe your congratulations? How would you describe your emotions right now after doing what you guys did?
I don't know what to say. Back to back, and I couldn't sleep for 3 nights. And to be able to win this game is huge. Wasi was outstanding. MVP. I was telling him every day, Wasi, you're MVP. You're the best player. And then they gave it to whatever the guy in Vegas, the Vezina. And then last year they gave Vezina to somebody else. Number one bull. Wasi took both cups. He took MVP, and I was keep telling him he's MVP. He's the guy that he's the best. He was on his head today, and he kept us in the game. And another shout out by him, remarkable. Can't even tell more. I'm so happy I didn't want to go back to Montreal, but the fans in Montreal, come on. They acted like they won the Stanley Cup last game. Are you kidding me?
John Romano, Tampa Bay Times.
Their final was last series. Okay.
All right, welcome back to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. I can't get enough of that. I love that. I love it. Number one, I just want to say it. I want to say it on the show sometime. Number one BS. I mean, it's classic. That's classic Nikita Kucherov, right?
Oh, it was great. I mean, and he makes a great point. Andre Fleury gets the Vezina Trophy this year. First time he's ever won it. Vasilevsky kind of gets, I won't say overlooked, but he kind of gets, well, we know he's great, so we're going to give it to the guy that's had a career year. Well, Vasilevsky has obviously shown he is the number one goaltender in this league, has been that way for the last couple of years, and for, again, just added motivation for Vasilevsky heading into the finals. And you're right. He makes a great point, too, about the Canadians. Their Stanley Cup was beaten Vegas last round. They've made a miracle run to the finals. They beat Vegas. Everybody thought it was going to be Vegas and Tampa Bay in the finals, and for them to knock off Vegas, the Lightning were just completely, in all facets of the game, a better team than the Montreal Canadiens from top to bottom, from 1 to 19.
Agree. I absolutely agree. All right, let's go out to the comments here from these guys. Once again, Troy Polamalu, people are ready to party and vandalize downtown. No vandalizing downtown. Let's stop with that. I mean, it has happened before in the past, but, Tampa Bay area, let's be a little bit more civil, if you will. Don't throw Stanley because it's one of the kind. There's only one of those cups. Miss Taylor Jean. Hey, Peter, what's going on? How you doing? Welcome to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. My agent and, of course, my beautiful mother, Sandra Nagel, watching the best sports talk show, The Sports Web, with I Love St. Pete and the Notoriety Sports Network. Great job as always. Woo! She gets the Ric Flair. Lightning win. And E-Rock says, hockey, I don't care about hockey. Let's go Bucks.
3 weeks of training camp.
All right, E-Rock, we'll give you what you want here. Some comments from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers about this Lightning victory. Tom Brady says, I don't know. Everything feels a bit lighter after some tequila, talking about throwing Lord Stanley. Of course, Bruce Arian says, Stanley Cup champions, congrats. Tampa Bay Lightning, one hell of a series. Tristan Wirfs, the second-year player who didn't play like a rookie, play like a 5-year, 10-year player. The Stanley Cup stays in the Bay. Scotty Miller, Tampa Bay, baby, let's go. Ryan Jensen, Tampa Bay, let's go again. And Joe Tryon, back-to-back, the young rookie is learning. So now does the pressure squarely fall? And people will say, well, the Rays, they haven't won anything yet. So does the pressure squarely fall on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to repeat as Super Bowl champions?
Well, first of all, the reason the Rays didn't get to a Game 7 was because of the abominable managing of one Kevin Cash last year in Game 6. So we should have at least been in a Game 7 with the Dodgers last year.
Let the truth set you free. How in the earthly world do you take out Blake Snell with the way he's dealing? Okay, go ahead, commence.
I mean, so we really could have our 4th title in less than 10 months if it wasn't for Kevin Cash's idiotic managing decision in Game 6. But on to the Bucs. I definitely think this is something that'll definitely be a motivator for the Bucs. I mean, we always say guys like Tom Brady, the older guys on the roster, want to find an intangible way to motivate themselves. Well, this is a great avenue and a great chip on their shoulder they can have to try to match the Lightning in the Tampa Bay community.
Now, I got to ask you, did you watch any of that match? Because all eyes were not only on a Tom Brady and a Phil Mickelson, but, of course, a Shambo and an Aaron Rodgers. And once again, as the world turns, or these are the sands to the hourglass, days of our lives, and all we've been talking about through our lives is about the Aaron Rodgers situation, and there is nothing that's cleared up. Did you learn anything? Do you think he's going to be a Packer quarterback? I mean, what do you say here at this point?
He, in my opinion, he will be back in training camp by mid-August. I don't think he's going to show up to training camp when they start, but I think by mid-August he's going to give himself 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks to get ready for that opener. He ain't going anywhere. The Packers aren't trading him. You know, you've heard. Here's something to think about this weekend, Peter. Game 3 and Game 4 of the Milwaukee Bucks finals. Remember, Aaron Rodgers is a minority owner in that team. If he shows up to one of those 2 games, I think you're going to know your answer, what Aaron Rodgers is going to do for sure. He may not show up because he didn't want to be a distraction, but if he shows up to Game 3 or Game 4, he'll be in Packer uniform 100% come September. But I think you'll see Aaron Rodgers mid to late August in Packer training camp.
All right, there you go. Prediction. You got it down. Let's see. E-Rock says Tampa Bay Champion City. Like it. E-Rock again. Man, I live in Cali, but I love my Bucks. I'll go ahead and fire those cannons. Hey, don't get me wrong. I always talk Tampa Bay Buccaneers with you, but I also talk Tampa Bay Lightning. I will talk Tampa Bay Rays and a little bit of NBA, and who knows, maybe some soccer. Probably not. Maybe with Jason, but not with me.
I'm going to give you a live score update. Phoenix 70-61 mid-third quarter, Game 2 NBA Finals. I mean, live and just for you, baby, on the air.
I love it. Love it there. And, of course, it looks like Phoenix could take a 2-0 lead. I mean, any interest at this point besides Chris Paul and what he did the other night was just tremendous. You got to be rooting for him because he's been through injuries. He's never won a championship. I mean, this is all about Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and, of course, Ayton for the Phoenix Suns. This is a mismatch for Milwaukee, right?
I think it'll go I think Milwaukee will at least get a game, if not 2. But I think Phoenix is the prohibitive favorite to win the series. They're to me, they're a pretty complete team. They got an inside presence. They got Chris Paul, the experience. They got the budding star in Devin Booker. I like their depth. I think Phoenix will win the series. But, and again, good for Chris Paul if he does win the series. Long career, Hall of Fame type career, and all that. Hey, I got a Buccaneer question for you.
Yes, go for it.
We talked about this about a month ago, and we each had our opinion. What'd you think of the Naval Academy allowing Cameron McKinney to go back to training camp? I think we talked about it prior to. I thought if you're going to let Cameron McKinney go to minicamp, why in the hell are you not going to let him go to training camp if he can make the team?
Yeah, absolutely. Cameron Kinley, that's a good story. When it came out, of course, it was a very disappointing, but we got word the other day that he was going to be allowed. I think it's great. I think it's a great story, especially if he makes the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But you have to give the kid a chance. It's his dream. It's so nice for Cameron. And in fact, he talks about this. I have these comments from here. I'm confident that Cameron will represent the Navy well in the NFL, just as he did as a standout athlete class president at the Naval Academy. This is what President Joe Biden said on Tuesday. After his NFL career is over, he will continue to make us proud as an officer in the United States Navy. And he says also, it's kind of a mindset that I've had since I began playing the game of football. Don't let anybody outwork you. Give 110%. So I'm excited about it. I definitely have a chip on my shoulder. And of course, the defense secretary was able to give him clearance. He wouldn't have to, go with the Navy and serve his time there. He would be able to participate.
Defer it.
Right.
Yep. Oh, I mean, what good PR that's going to be for the Naval Academy. I mean, throughout the year. And if you don't think Bruce Arians and Jason Light are going to try to do everything they can to, at worst, put him on the practice squad if he's not quite ready to make the active roster, that's going to be a great feel-good story in training camp. If he's at all competitive, I think you'll see him on the practice squad. Again, but the Bucs want those kind of guys in the building. Leadership, guys with the desire, with that kind of work ethic. And again, it'll be a great public relations story for both the Buccaneers and the Naval Academy if he can be competitive enough to at least make the practice squad.
All right, guys, that's Jason Powers, the Power Man.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Powers on Sports podcast. I'm your host, Peter Blake, live here on the Sports Web on the Notoriety Sports Network. I love St. Pete. Let's go out to pro football talk. In fact, Mickey Loomis, GM of the New Orleans Saints, had some comments on the Adam Shine podcast. In fact, he was talking about Tom Brady. In fact, he said, all I can say is this. As soon as Drew made the decision that he was going to play again last year, then that's the route we were going. That's probably all I'm going to say on that. And, of course, the assumption was that if Breeze happened to retire or go a different direction, that the Saints would have been interested in Brady. So my question for you is, do you think Brady, at the end of the day, if he had the Saints and the Bucs and Drew Brees wasn't there, he would have chosen the Saints over the Bucs?
That's a great question because you got you got both the teams have offensive-minded head coaches that are supposedly offensive geniuses with Arians and Sean Payton. It would have been a very interesting decision had Drew Brees retired for Tom Brady. I mean, it would not have shocked me if he'd have gone to New Orleans if all things would have been equal. If there was no Drew Brees in the picture, it would not have shocked me one bit if he'd have gone to New Orleans.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been something interesting, I tell you right now. And, of course, Loomis also had some comments on the starting quarterback position. I assume that it's going to be Jameis Winston that most likely is going to be the eventual starter. That's not to say that Taysom Hill won't get some opportunities and some packages and stuff like that, but I think Winston going forward most likely will be the starting quarterback. And, in fact, this is what he had to say. He's going to be in a competition with Taysom. Again, he told Sirius XM's The Adam Shine podcast. So, we're really excited and high on Taysom, just as we are on Jameis. It's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out. Listen, Jameis has been fantastic. You have these impressions of a guy afar that when you get them in the building, you really learn a lot about them. He did just fantastic as a teammate, fantastic representative of the organization. He's smart football player. He's hardworking, just everything you would want. So I'm excited to see how this shakes out. We got a great room there with two guys in Ian Book, and we drafted in a Trevor Siemian, who's on our team. Jeez, Trevor Siemian rep.
Still getting some run.
Yes, so I can get excited to see how this all shakes out because these guys are all about winning, and we'll see what happens. I notice he says shakes, but he also has a lot of complimentary things to say about Mr. Jameis Winston. Should we assume from these comments that most likely Winston is the leader in the clubhouse?
I mean, I think in a perfect world, the Saints would want him to be the starting quarterback. Jameis has never had the issue of physical talent. It's always been, can he throw it to the right team? That's been his only issue. We all know he's a hard worker. There's never been any complaints about him being lazy or not being dedicated to the team, not being a pretty good teammate. It's just the thought process of throwing it to the right team. And in New Orleans, Peyton's offense is very much a short passing attack, very different from what Jameis is used to. Jameis is used to slamming it in there, trying to throw that 25-yard slant route, trying to throw that post route instead of hitting the 7-yard, 8-yard, 5-yard. If he'll do those things, he'll be the starting quarterback for the New Orleans Saints.
I agree with you on that. I do think they've lost somewhat some weapons on offense and especially defensively, but we'll see how it works out. And I think there's a lot of Bucs fans that are kind of looking forward to that matchup to see if this Bucs defense can get after Jameis Winston, because we know when you put pressure on him and you put him in those situations, he will give you some interceptions. But then at the end of the day, I think he's basically an upgrade over a Breeze because he can make all those throws. And of course, he's shown that he can throw the ball deep.
But mentally, Peter, can he function mentally in a tight pocket when there's expectations? There's going to be expectations for Jameis Winston if he wins that job. That's the one thing you worry about. Can he handle those expectations, knowing this is his kind of revival tour to try to revive his career? Because this might be his last chance as a starting quarterback. If this doesn't go well in New Orleans, his days as a starter may be over.
You're exactly right, because I tell you right now, he has everything to earn at this point. And if he does play well, he'll either earn a second contract with the New Orleans Saints, or
he'll get paid,
he'll earn a contract somewhere else. All right, of course, one of the biggest mysteries has been, who was Tom Brady talking about when he said, stuck with that MFer? I'm not going to say the word once again. I do want to say it, just like I want to say the Nikita Kucherov statement, but I won't. Some in the league insist that Raiders quarterback Derek Carr is the guy, but Carr told brother from another on Wednesday, from what I know, it wasn't me, which is good. I know you've got the rings, but it's not me. Then we're good. What I heard, it wasn't me, so I'm good with that. Do we assume that it is Derek Carr, or who do you think it is? Who is it?
It was not Derek Carr, because you and I both know John Gruden would have thrown Derek Carr to the garbage can as fast as humanly possible if Tom Brady says, I'm coming to Las Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, that's what I'm looking at this point. You know, for me, would John Gruden turn down a Tom Brady? I'm not sure, but maybe Gruden has lost it there. I don't know. I really don't. Let's see here. Saints would still choke with Brady because they got too many guys who have choked so many times. Brady can only do so much. I'm not ready to say that because Brady, it is the Brady effect. Troy Polamalu says, send the Rays back to Montreal. Tampa is a Yankees town, and that's what I got to say to you. And then, of course, E-Rock says, let him play. Of course, that would be Cameron Kinley. Now, Giants running back Saquon Barkley was on the Rich Eisen show on Thursday, and he's repeated what he said for months. He's taking things day by day, trying to get 1% better every single day. Yep. Of course, I think I know better than that. I've been in the NFL for a little bit now. I think I'm learning a thing or two. Of course, Barkley had surgery in October after injuring his knee on the 8th snap in Week 2 against the Bears. Eisen asked Barkley if I should feel confident about taking Barkley at the top of the fantasy draft. If I were a betting man, I was told the best thing to do is bet on yourself. So why not? Of course, Barkley in his 4th season, a key season for him. He has only played 15 games in 2 seasons since an offensive rookie of the year campaign. Of course, the Giants picked up the 5th-year option for 2022, but Barkley's only hope for a long-term extension after this season comes with him staying healthy. If he cannot stay healthy and he, of course, is not productive this year, can you start to say that, once again, drafting a running back is a bad idea in the 1st round and possibly Barkley is a bust?
I wouldn't say that. I think you're going to see Saquon be very cautious with his knee, because he knows that if he comes back too early and is ineffective this year, or is just, nicked up, it is going to deter his ability to get a big time contract, a second contract in the league. I think Saquon Barkley, if he can stay healthy, he'll be an impact player for the Giants. I don't have any problem with the Giants taking Saquon Barkley a couple of years back when they did. Sure, there's some that say I'll never take a running back in the 1st round. You can argue both sides of that equation and that decision making, but at the time, the Giants need offensive playmakers. They needed those playmakers. He's a hell of a player when he's healthy. But again, hard to stay healthy in that league. I don't care what position you're playing. It's hard to stay healthy in that league and play 17 games.
All right, so let's see here. Why Ronald Jones II is one of the NFL's best running backs. I always call him the victim of volume, and that this is not just me saying this. In fact, Let's see here. This is from Bucks Wire. The second round pick from 2018 for Ronald Jones heading into his final season for the rookie contract. And there, I believe there's a guy by the name of, and it doesn't show his name. It says Farrar. He's on a podcast. He says the Bucks selected Jones in the second round of the 2018 draft at the USC. It took him a while to become a major part of the Bruce Arians offense. That happened in 2020 as Jones became a key cog in Tampa Bay's offense, especially when Arians and Tom Brady got on the same page about halfway through the season, including the postseason. Jones gained 1,117 yards and scored 7 touchdowns on 227 carries, gaining 802 yards after contact, 4th best in the NFL behind King Henry himself, Derrick Henry from the Titans, Dalvin Cook, and Nick Chubb, improving that he has the vision, contact balance, lateral movement, and acceleration to be a perfect fail behind the Buccaneers' outstanding offensive line. I think it's a foil. I think it's foil. I don't think it's a fail. It'd be a fail for me to read that because I can't see it right now. I think a foil. So with all that being said, Ronald Jones, I know we've talked about this before, but everybody assumes with Leonard Fournette and his performance in the postseason that automatically he's going to be the starting running back. But I feel like looking at Vegas numbers, because we were talking the over-under before, Vegas actually has Jones over a Fournette. So once again, where do you stand? And is this guy correct about Ronald Jones being one of the best NFL running backs that nobody continues to talk about, especially in the Tampa Bay area?
Unfortunately, Peter, I think Ronald Jones may be a kind of guy we look back at in another year or two and say, man, I wish we'd have kept him, because I think his probably brightest days may not be in a Buccaneer uniform. I don't think the Buccaneers are going to invest big money in a running back even after this year. I do think Ronald Jones will get the first opportunity to be the starter, because I think Bruce Arians' mind, in their mind, they want to keep his confidence up as a starting running back, whereas they know Leonard Fournette is used to being kind of a number 2 guy last year. That worked out well. Again, I think they're going to do everything they can to keep Jones' confidence up, and it's going to be a committee room. I hate to say it, Peter. I know you love Jones. I think it's going to be a committee room again. Jones, Fournette. You're going to see a little Keyshawn Vaughn at times, and you're going to see our buddy Mr. Bernard as the third down back. So it's going to be a committee. He's not going to get 25 carries a game. That's the old NFL. He's going to be in the 10 to 15 carry range most weeks, in my opinion.
All right, I want to go out to this final one, and we'll get you out of here from Jason Powers, Powers on Sports podcast. Of course, the Power Man himself.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Jeremy Fowler quoted one AFC executive as having said about Barrett. Barrett was, of course, outside of the top 10. They're looking at rankings here. In fact, it comes to no surprise the Bucs fans, both Vita Vea and Shaquille Barrett were named in poll results, but only one of them made it in the top 10, of course. Surprisingly, that was Vea with an injury-shortened season. Kind of amazing. What they say about Barrett, he's a pure pass rusher, very talented, but not sure he's a complete player as others on this list. The Bucs needed to wait and see on him with the franchise tag, but he was great in the playoffs and a hell of a player. But if we're talking top 10, that's a tough sell for me. Agree with that?
What was the list? Top 10 what? Defensive rushers?
Yeah, defensive ends, defensive linemen. And
I got you.
Why isn't Barrett over? Look, I know the impact of what Vea can do in that top 10 at the end of the day. I know what he can do. But I know also when Vea came back, you could see Barrett, how great he was and what he did in that offseason. So does Barrett have some type of conversation here where he should be in that top 10 with the performance he put on during the postseason?
I mean, he's right there on the edge. I mean, can you say, is he a top 5 pass rusher in the league? That's debatable. I definitely think he's right there, 8, 9, 10, 11 kind of guy. Again, these analytical discussions in these lists also have to come. They put into play rushing game. How much effectiveness is Shaq Barrett in the running game? How much attention is Vita Vea drawing in the running game when he's getting double teamed when he was in there? He is a stout of a man. He is a mountain of a man. He's going to be – Sue's probably got 1 year left at best. Vea's going to be the next guy that has to get signed. down next after this year as far as a big contract, because you have to have that stout guy in the middle, especially in a 3-4 type of defense that Todd Bowles likes to run.
That's a good point. It's absolutely a good point. And now with the Vea, the scouting report on him, again, Jeremy Fowler of ESPN quoted another source, and this is from Bucks Nation. Once he got back in the playoffs, they were different. He couldn't do anything against them. Vita can rush the passer, has force, more of a Debo, the Friday character, not a Craftsman. If he wants to get in, he gets in. Now, we talked about this, I think, on your podcast, and of course, a couple of shows ago. The most player that could stand out. Everybody's kind of getting on that Devin White train, and they should because of the way he played in the postseason. But Vita Vea, could he be the X factor on this defense, in your opinion? Also,
he's going to be an X factor, but it's not necessarily going to show up in the stat sheet. He's not going to probably have 10 sacks on the year. But what he's going to do, he's going to occupy the center in the guard or the guard in the tackle, which is going to allow Shaq Barrett, JPP, Joe Tryon, hopefully, those kind of guys to eat and actually get the quarterback sacks. So Vea's importance is not always going to be reflected on the stat sheet. It's going to be in the occupying of space and bodies that allow the other guys to do their work.
All right, good stuff, Mr. Jason Powers here, the Power Man. Go ahead and promote yourself here on the evolution of Sports Talk Television.
Powers on Sports podcast. You can find us on all the podcast platforms. Google, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and Pete, we got to get you to watch some Euro Championship. We got the Euro final on Sunday, England, Italy, 2:30. We got to get you to the TV screen to watch some soccer, baby.
Maybe one of these days when I'm not watching other sports here. What is, I mean, go ahead and teach me just a little bit. I'll open my mind up. About what is so great about this matchup? Go ahead. Give me the scouting reports.
I mean, just from a country perspective, Italy and England are two of the powers of world soccer. You know, it's a classic matchup. Think about it in these terms. And I know you may not be a big tennis fan. What a day of sports in London this weekend. You have the Wimbledon final Sunday morning, and then you have the Euro final in Wembley Sunday afternoon involving the home country, England, who hasn't been to a major tournament final since 1966. Whether it's World Cup or the Euros, this will be their first final appearance since 1966.
All right, I got you. I see it. All right, Jason Powers, the Power Man himself.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Powers on Sports Podcast. Once again, go ahead and check him out, and I will definitely get you here on the Sports Web once again to talk all things Buccaneers and whatever else, whether it's Rays, whether it's NBA, and of course, the Tampa Bay Lightning. Thanks a lot for your time tonight. All right, boss?
Thanks, Pete. Great job, man. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you. Good stuff there. You guys make it easy, and all the guests tonight, thanks a lot for coming on. Didn't necessarily get all the interaction that I thought I was going to get with the fans out there, but I get it. I understand because nobody right now has gotten any sleep. So for that matter, I'm going to go ahead, get out of here, get some sleep, and get ready for next week here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Only a couple weeks away from Bucks training camp. We'll see what happens with this Lightning team. Of course, the boat parade Monday at 11 o'clock. I will not be there. I will be working. Once again, thanks to the great TJ Reeves, of course, the shooter and stash, Travis Feely of Rocket Sports and Entertainment, and, of course, the Power Man himself, Jason Powers. We were expecting Leo Haggerty, didn't get him. He's out at the LT camp in Texas, so we'll talk with him. We'll get Dennis Phillips. Who knows? Keep on watching the Evolution of Sports Talk Television live on the Notoriety Sports Network. I love St. Pete. Got to shout out Sam Ash. I mean, unbelievable how they have absolutely provided all this equipment that continues to run with the mics, with the mixers, with everything. So thanks a lot to Sam Ash. And again, if you want to sponsor, there is a lot of great sponsorship opportunities here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. So without further ado, let's just put it out there, right? Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake. Number one BS, not this show. Your Tampa Bay Lightning, Stanley Cup champions, back to back. Tampa Bay, have a great night.
Lightning, we have Nikita Kucherov. Media, please raise your hand if you have a question. We'll start with Joe Smith, The Athletic.
Joe, let's hear it.
Just
Let's go, buddy.
how would you describe your congratulations? How would you describe your emotions right now after doing what you guys did?
I don't know what to say. Back to back, and I couldn't sleep for 3 nights. And to be able to win this game is huge. Wesley was outstanding. MVP. I was telling him every day, Wesley, you're MVP. You're the best player. And then they gave it to whatever the guy in Vegas, the Vezina. And then last year they gave Vezina to somebody else. Number one bull. Wesley took both cups. He took MVP, and I was keep telling him he's MVP. He's the guy that he's the best. He was on his head today, and he kept us in the game. And another shout out by him, remarkable. Can't even tell more. I'm so happy I didn't want to go back to Montreal, but the fans in Montreal, come on. They acted like they won the Stanley Cup last game. Are you kidding me?
John Romano, Tampa Bay Times.
Their final was last series. Okay.
Hey, Stan Arthur here for the I Love St. Pete Facebook group. If you're a business owner looking to connect with tens of thousands of potential new local customers, you owe it to yourself to get enrolled in our Key Tag Rewards program. Since 2019, we've signed up more than 200 local merchants. Sponsor opportunities are available too, such as our group banner ad and even your own custom key tags. Just go to stpetekeytag.com, get enrolled, and get ready to get busy. stpetekeytag.com.
Notoriety Sports Network. Breaking news, live shows, unprecedented content. Notoriety Sports Network. Built different.
He's freezing it against the end wall. It's not yet frozen. 13 seconds left. Pullman looking to grab it. Danault trying to center it. Knocking it away. Yanni Gord. He clears it. I don't think this is going to be an icing. No. 3 seconds left. Petrie, final shot. The Lightning have done it. They have done it. They have gone back to back for the second year in a row.
Wow.
They have won the Stanley Cup.
Unbelievable.